Hello and welcome to Spy Money. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of the setup on Thinkorswim platform. How I have mine set up, how I can do things like I can go way out in this area through here. So if you're wanting to go further out to where you can see your indicators and stuff, that's one thing we're going to talk about. Also how to set up like your auto. if you want to adjust this, you can come over here and do this. And then if you click your center button on your mouse and click your pan tool, then you can move this around. So you can put it where you want and you can adjust it. Also, if you go to your trend tool, which is the center button on your mouse, click there. And then you can actually start here, hold and click and hold, and then drag it to where you want. So if you wanted this to go to where all that's on your screen, when you let off, that's all that's there. So there's a lot of things you can do. Like if you just wanted this little run here, then you could click and hold, and then you just have that run. But you have to do this a little bit first over here. That way it will make it go into customize. And then once you're all done, if you're you want to go back to normal, then you go back up here to the arrows and you click on auto. And it will put it back to where it is. If you hold your control button down and then scroll with your mouse, that's how I adjust this out. So if you went to like a weekly chart and then you're way out there. So if you have it on auto right here, and then if you click on your pointer, your trend line, actually any of these, if you click and hold, so if you want just this chart in, then you would get right before it, click and hold, and then you drag over to as far as you want, and then that will be on the chart then. So if you hold your control button down and then scroll with your mouse, then it'll move on you. And if you do the Alt and scroll with your mouse, then it will just move a little bit. But whenever I do that, I usually just drag and drop where I want. So if I'm wanting to pick up this right here, then say from this run over, then I would come over here and then just come to it and do that. So the other thing I'm going to show you is how to set up this area to where it will go far over. So if you go up to your little cog, that's your settings, and then if you come down to your time axis, and then this is where you change that. So if I change this to 10 and then click OK, see how it moved it over? Now it won't let me go any further that way. It stops me right there. So for me, charting that close is just not good for me. Now, if you go into where you have like your flexible grid, and I'll show you this on another video, but if you have this to where you have a lot of different settings up there, then naturally you would want this to stop, to where you can just see a little bit past it, and that'll help you there. But when you're doing all your charting and you're trying to do your patterns and all that, then really you don't want all that. One thing that if you put a trend line up and let's say you don't want that anymore, well, if you go back to your pointer and you click on that to highlight it, you can hit delete and it will just go away. So that's a little trick that I have picked up. The price tool, if you want to, say you want to come in here and let's say you think this from this point through here was a sort of a support and resistance. So if you clicked on there, then that will show where there's a lot of support and resistance with different areas. Now if you right click that and click edit properties, or if you're on your pointer and double click it, either one, then you can change how you want your settings. You can change the coloring of it, the style, where the if you want to have a solid line, a dot or dash, whichever, what your width would be. You can also set that as a default, so every time you do it, it will be there. I use a red dashed line, that way I know what it is. It's when you use a solid line and use for like your trend lines and such, the blue lines that I use, then if I had the same coloring on this, then it would really throw me off when I'm looking at it. But when I see this, I know that it's me drawing out a support and resistance line. You can also change the value of it. So if you wanted this on 1.3 over here, then you would just come over here, highlight that, change that to 3, and now if you watch right there, when I click OK, it's going to jump up. So now it's on 1.3. So if you can't quite get the line where you want, you can just edit it and then go in and type it in what number you want on it. So there's a few things you can do there. Also, if you go into like your alerts and such, you can change how you want those to show up. Your processing access went over into auto. When it comes over here, you can have different things set up. So I'm not going to go into all that. It'll take too long to go through every setting, but if you click around on that, you'll actually figure out how you want it. And we'll do the time frames. There's another way to do the time frames without having to go into your settings, and I'll show you that. Your candles, I have mine where it's green going up, red going down, and then my doji candle, like if it's in between a candle and it's just a doji, then I've got a blue one. That way it just throws it off, so it's like an indecisive candle, like right here. So I've got mine to where they will fill up green. You can change yours to where if you want less coloring on it, to where you just want the candles there. But for me, I like to see a full body candle. Your wicks, you can choose to not have those, but honestly, your wicks are very important in trading. So you definitely want your wicks. Some people don't use them, but I know very few people that don't use them. Your cursor, how you want it to be. Like if I put mine, it won't show right now, but if I put this here, it's got a cross this way and that way. So it's just a cross. You can have it to where it's horizontal only, vertical only. I like a cross, that way when I'm moving around like this right here, I can see if I'm trying to get right on the corner of that body, then it's going up and down, and it's also going horizontal. So, that's the way I like it. It's my personal preference. Your equities, you can decide how you want that to be, options, futures, forex, and all that. So you can go through all that yourself, and then when you come back to it, how I change my time frames is I go up to the time frame here, and then I will go to customize list, and that's how I always go to it, and it brings me right back to where we were. That way you don't have to go to up to hit settings or whatever. You can just hit that and go. And the way you set these is you go ahead and add a time frame, and you pick what you want. You got time, tick, and range. I always use time. I've got a few on tick, as you can see over here. So if I'm scalping, sometimes, if it's kind of moving around a little bit, but not much on the 1 minute, I can click over to the tick, usually a 45 tick, and it moves it quicker. So it's like seconds. So this would be like every, I guess about every 2-3 seconds, the candle would move. Now this is if you're doing like penny stocks or something like that, and you're scalping it, and you're very precise about where you want to get in and out. This will let you know kind of where the stock is going down or up ahead of time. So I don't necessarily trade on that, but I'd like to see it sometimes. And so you go into your time, you pick intraday. If it's, if you're looking like the 1 minute charts up to 12 hours, it'll do. You can also do up to 360 days this way. So you can set all these up once you add it. So if you wanted to add, say you wanted, let's see here. Let me get back. Let's see if I go there and go aggregation period. So we're going to do 2 days, year. Let me get back to where I want to be. There it is. So if you want the aggregation period to say be a 10-minute chart, which I don't trade a 10, but let's just say that we put it on 10, and we wanted it on a 1 day chart. So 10-minute, 1 day chart. So you would add that, and it would bring it to here. So then you can take this and you can drag it where you want. So if you want the 10 minutes, so you can have it in order. It's easier to start from your lowest to your highest, or whichever way you use. And then when you click OK, you come up here, then it will be there. So there's your 1 day, 10 minutes. So now it's showing 10-minute candles. So every 10, these candles represent 10 minutes of the day. And this is 1 day worth of candles. So when you're looking at that, you can decide, if that's the time frame you want, then you stick with it. If you don't, then you come back to your favorites, you do customize list, and then you click on your 10-minute and then just delete it, because I don't need that one. So that's how you set up your time frames. And Trying to think of something. You could actually share this chart. Say your buddy's wanting to see how you've charted this out. You can go to share, and then when you click share, it'll open up, and it'll open up a link to it. And the only thing you have to do is go ahead, and it's already copied it to your notepad. So the only thing you have to do is just right click and click paste wherever wherever you want to send it, or you can do a Control V and paste it that way. So if you want to actually see where it was, then you can open it up, and then it will show right here. So you click on that one, and you click there. So now it's opened up. So there it is. So this chart is the same as this chart. So if you went to this and open it up and say your friend sent you one, then the only thing you have to do is come down here, and then you go up here to the window, and then you go ahead and save grid as, and then you call it wherever you want. And then now all of his indicators and everything that he had or she had, you could save it, and you would have all those. So if you went up to your studies and edit studies, you would see all of their indicators that they had. So that's the ones I use. So that's one way to share your patterns. You can save this by going to what we just said. Also, one other thing, it's a real good one. Let's say you want to just take a picture of this and send it to your friend. So you can come up to this 3 bars and come down to take a screenshot, and it takes a picture of what's on your chart, and then you just copy it, and then you can paste it wherever you want, or you can save it as a file, like a JPEG or something, and then you can go ahead and upload that image to it. But if you just click copy, and then you right click paste, it'll be a hyperlink, and whenever you type that in, it'll actually open up the picture on their end. So that's one way to do that. So that's several shortcuts that I've shown you that will probably help you. That's how I use during the day. The time frames, I'd like to see the time axis over here better, which actually I need to change that back. So if I go back to usually about 200 is what I use. You can go more, but usually 200. If I'm charting out on a weekly and I'm going way out in it so I can see where the trend lines are going to go, then I'll a lot of times go 400. And that should be it. If you have any questions, please feel free to place a comment below. I answer all of them. And please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you later.